What's up, everybody? BigSweetC here with you. Got another fantastic podcast video for you today. It's the Another Gamer Dad podcast brought to you by yours truly, BigSweetC. We are on episode number 10. Look at that. All 10 fingers, both hands up. Episode number 10. Can't believe we've done this many already. I'm not gonna lie. Once I realized that it was number 10, I was like, holy shite. This is fantastic. I hope to keep going. I didn't realize that every other week was going to be so much. You would think that, every other week doesn't seem too bad, but shoot, these every other weeks come very, very fast. So, but I hope you guys are enjoying them. I'm enjoying doing them. I fully plan on continue doing them because I can do these when I travel and stuff. The live streams are kind of tough. It's not like I can bring my systems and everything with me. So, but these I can do on the road. And when we do travel, as in this upcoming June, when my wife, son, and I head back to where I grew up, good old Ann Arbor, Michigan area, Ann Arbor, Saline, Milan area. I do fully plan on getting my brother involved, hopefully, and I'm going to show you a little bit about where we came from, where I came from, how I grew up, and all that stuff. So, love doing these podcasts. Can't believe we're at number 10 already. But yeah, here we are, and I hope you guys are liking it. If you are, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that follow bell, and become part of the Sweetness family. If you're over on Spotify, do me that favor, follow me over on Spotify. I like Spotify as well. So, but today we've got a fantastic episode. Kind of want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the greatness of great games. I want to talk about the Lions and Jared Goff, the NBA draft lottery, and we're going to finish up with what I kind of feel like the current slate of movies and cinema is right now. But we're going to start with, as always, our little family podcast thing. I am a gamer dad now. I've been a gamer dad for almost 2 years. My son will be 2 in August. It is May, so June, July, about 3 months. He'll be 2 years old. Oh, actually, it's 5/14 today of the recording, so it will be a little less time when this actually releases. But exactly 3 months from today, my son will be 2 years old, and it brings up a good point, something that I didn't really notice until a couple of days ago. And because, again, my wife is absolutely fantastic. She is the best mother in the world. And the truth is, she she takes care of everything. She's literally the best mom I could have asked for. And she takes care of everything specifically because, one, it's in her nature. She was a nurse before, so she knows what it means to take care of people. But two, like, she just doesn't trust anybody else to do it properly. So I don't know if I should take that as an insult or whatever, but she does. She's gone right now while my son is taking a nap. My son and I have been by ourselves for a little over an hour and a half now. So she does sometimes give me free reign, and she lets me play with Christopher how I play with him. She lets me feed him how I feed him. So she's not like super Nazi or anything like that, but she's got a very specific routine that she likes to do with him, and she doesn't trust anybody to follow that routine. So I get it. It's our first child. She might be more lenient with the second, and then probably most likely very lenient with the third. There's always that meme out there that's first child overprotected, second child less protected, third child forgotten. So I don't think that's exactly how it's going to go for us, but as we have more and more children, I think my wife will get more and more comfortable with others doing what, how they take care of them. But as a gamer, and I mean a hardcore gamer, when my wife and I met, like, I would play video games all the time. I still play while we were dating and when we were first married. I play all the time. She would play with me. We would literally spend entire weekends. I'd get home from work, we'd jump on Minecraft, and we wouldn't sleep, we wouldn't eat. We would just play Minecraft for like 48 hours until I had to go back to work. Grounded, we pulled overnighters with. We put countless hours into Destiny 2 and Diablo 4. I almost said Diablo. Well, Diablo 2 as well. The problem with Diablo 2 is Diablo 4 came out fairly soon afterwards. So we didn't get the chance to really fully maximize Diablo 2 remastered like we did Diablo 4. So, but like it's kind of one of those things where I'm still kind of like, like a child in that way. I've always played video games for as long as I wanted, every single day, whenever I can, and I still want to do that to a certain extent, and so like I get into these habits of I throw Christopher in his pen. I open up the laptop. I throw his Coco Melon on, his Trash Truck. Trash Truck is actually probably now his new favorite show, which is great. He also loves it's on Prime Video, Bluey. That's another fantastic show that he loves. And so, he's got a bunch of variety of stuff, and he's got a ton of toys that he likes to play with. And he just kind of like, running around in his playpen. So, I kind of get into this habit of putting him in the playpen and turning the PlayStation on or the Xbox or whatever it is I happen to be playing. And I came to realize the last couple of days he's been a little bit more cranky for whatever reason, and and so now I have to realize that I can't, just play nonstop all the time. Like I would sit there and he'd kind of whine for a little bit, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, buddy, give me a few minutes, and let me finish up this mission, or let me find this thing that I'm looking for, or let me get to a save point or whatever, and then we'll play." uh, even if it's only 60 seconds to a few minutes. My son doesn't know what 60 seconds is. He doesn't know what a few minutes is. When he's ready to play, he's ready to play, and so I got to realize that, like I've got responsibilities now that I didn't have way before. And I feel bad thinking on it now where, he's sitting there, he's kind of like he's trying to grab at the controller because he's trying to get my attention and stuff. I mean, he's also trying to grab the controller because he just likes pushing buttons, like I mean he'll sit there and he'll like chew on the joysticks, and he'll just push buttons to push buttons. He's turned off my computer several times just by bending over and hitting the button, while he's watching TV and I'm not paying attention. So, like he likes to get my attention and he wants to spend time with me. And luckily, I have a wife that allows me to do this stuff. And right now, like I said, he's sleeping. I'm kind of keeping an eye on him. So hopefully he doesn't wake up in the middle of this and I have to just pause and run downstairs and take care of him. But like I have to come to the realization that like I can't just tell him to wait for 2 minutes and expect him to understand what that is. Like I do have to teach him patience, obviously. Like he's got to learn that he can't just go around grabbing things at some point. But the poor kid's not even 2 years old yet. Like I have to teach him these things, and it's not going to help if I'm just sitting there telling him to wait all the time. He's gonna get bored with daddy, and he's not gonna want to play with me anymore, and that's not what I'm looking for. And so I came to the realization a couple of days ago, and like today specifically, like I'm we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I've been playing the shite out of Fallout 4 recently since the next gen update, and I'm over here, I'm trying to collect some bobbleheads, and he's over here grabbing at my arm and whining and like trying to grab the controller out of my hand and stuff, and because he was hungry and he was ready for bed, and I can't just tell him, hey, hold the fuck up, wait, and then I'll put you to bed and we'll give you some food and stuff. Like he doesn't know the difference. When he's ready, and I have to learn to adjust to that. And so it is something that kind of didn't really take me by surprise. You should kind of accept it, expect it as a parent. But it was one of those things where it was like for the first year and a half, I was getting away with it, and I have to realize that that's not my job anymore. I've got other responsibilities now. Again, luckily my wife is a fantastic person, and she gives me the time to put in to do the content creation and stuff. But when I was working, the reason I was streaming at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, just Saturdays and Sundays, is because I had to be there for him the rest of the time. Like I just didn't have the time. My wife didn't have the patience for me to put into this amount of hours. Now that I'm unemployed and I'm, just doing the content creation stuff, I've got a lot more time to do this now and still keep up with the responsibilities of being a dad. But even so, sometimes I forget, and I got to remember that he doesn't care. you know, he wants what he wants, and he wants it when he wants it, and that's cool. Like I'll grow, adapt. That's what this podcast is all about. Me realizing that I have to grow and adapt, and hopefully helping you guys realize that you have to grow and adapt as well, and we can grow and adapt together. So just wanted to kind of bring that up, and if you're a new gaming parent who's always been able to play as much as I have, we have responsibilities now, and one day I hope to spend entire weekends playing with my son, playing Minecraft, playing Grounded, playing hopefully not Destiny 3, but but we'll see. We'll see what he's into. He really, really likes watching me play not Fallout, sorry, Final Fantasy 7. So if we can go through, some of the old time greats, I think that'd be a lot of fun with him, and I look forward to it. Even though I have to switch it up a little bit nowadays. All right, commercial number one. Coffee makers, hit your boy up. Sponsor this show. I'll drink your coffee on the show. I'll sponsor. I'll put out fantastic little minutes like this, talking about how great your coffee is, whether it is or not. That's the beauty of a sponsorship. I don't have to like your stuff. You pay me to like it, so uh, that's funny, but it's true. All right, moving on. We are talking gaming, specifically the greatness of games. And I know I said we were going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for a little while because right now it is the greatest game in my opinion. It's definitely the best game out there, at least for PS5. In my opinion, for everything I've played, it's the best game I've played probably ever, to be honest with you. Now I have other reasons why I think Chrono Trigger is the best game of all time. But we're not talking goats here. We're talking about literal best games to play. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is definitely the best one I've ever played. And but we'll get back into that later. Really, kind of this came up at the last minute because we. I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days. With the show having come out, and even though I wasn't a huge fan of the show, it really, got me back into wanting to play Fallout. And so, we went through Fallout 3, and that was a ton of fun. That was absolutely fantastic. But then we went into with this new next gen update. We went back into Fallout 4, and I just have to say, like, great games are great for a reason. Like, I have absolutely had a freaking blast playing this game and going through it again, getting all the stuff over again in a new game. Because for whatever reason on PlayStation, because they separate PS4 and PS5. I was able to go back through and redo all the trophies, like everything we got in Fallout 4 on PS4 didn't transfer over to PS5. So it's all brand new, and it's been, absolutely fantastic trophy hunting again. A little different over on, Xbox because Xbox One and the series, they share achievements and stuff. So everything that I had on Xbox One carried over to the Series X update. But obviously, I haven't done the Enclave stuff because I haven't played the update yet on Xbox. But I mean, it's been an absolute blast, and like it really really made me realize that great games are great for a reason, and and the greatness of great games seeps through all time. Like it's been a super fun time replaying this, and I know people trash Fallout 4 when it first came out for whatever reason, mostly because everybody trashes everything that's not a direct replica or exactly what they wanted in a sequel. But I mean, I loved it from the beginning. The fact that they took the time to see what modders were doing with 3 in New Vegas and then incorporating the settlement building into Fallout 4. The graphics I thought looked great at the time. They look even better now. Like considering it's still like that unremarkable Unreal Engine that Bethesda has used for all the Fallout games, it looks phenomenal. Like it just looks, it plays, and I know we just had a patch update because people were complaining that they've had a lot of issues with it. I've had almost no issues whatsoever. Have I had a couple of crashes? Yeah, but it's a Bethesda game. You don't get a Bethesda game without crashes. That's just kind of how they come because they have all this deleted content and stuff. Like legendary items that are supposed to spawn but don't, or enemies that are supposed to be in certain spots but you find them elsewhere. That's just kind of how Bethesda games, in my experience, have always been and probably always will be because there's just so much content that it's hard to keep it all in line. But outside of a couple of crashes here, it's not like I've had any like real big bugs. Like I haven't had any quests that I haven't been able to complete. I haven't had any I haven't had any random people come up and like their stuff just doesn't spawn or whatever. Like everything that's supposed to have been there has been there, outside of a few crashes. Now, hopefully, with the bug, with the patch update that just happened yesterday, I think 5.13. Hopefully we don't have as many crashes. But again, like I could probably count the amount of crashes I've had on one hand, which is insane. I mean, that's great for a Bethesda game. So, uh, but like, I mean, it's just fascinating to me that I can come back to this game after, I mean, I haven't played it in probably 5, 6 years. And I can come back to this game and just immediately then again pour 40, 50, 60, 70 hours into this game, no problem, and have just as much fun playing it now as I did during the original time I played it. Obviously, a lot of the stuff like the surprising moments, aka for example, like the Point Lookout stuff, where you go in and you meet this guy, and all of a sudden you're having this hallucination, and only to realize that this dude's picking out a piece of your brain, like that. That's kind of something that is coming from now on, but it's still fun to go through it. Like I know everything that's going to happen in Fallout 4, but it's still insanely fun to go out and develop settlements. And now there have been some new stuff. I did not realize you could do, and maybe this was part of the next gen update, but I did not realize that you could do settlements in Far Harbor. And so we went and we did a bunch of the side quests that I had never done in Far Harbor before. Um I believe last time I sided with Acadia and Dima, and this time I decided to, convince Far Harbor that what Dima did was wrong, and he deserves to be punished. But Acadia is not at fault here, and so we were able to do different things that I had never done before, and it's incredible that you can play a game and put 100, 200 hours into, and yet still find new stuff to do. And it really like emphasizes the importance of great games and how great games really last and stand the test of time. It's still, my live streams for Fallout 4 were easily my biggest, and that's kind of, most of the following that I have now. I picked up by playing Fallout 4 originally 5 or 6 years ago, and a bunch of you guys. I'm not calling out any names because there's been a lot that have come regularly throughout the years. But when we started playing different things, a lot of the viewership went down when I stopped playing the Fallout games. But I pick Fallout 3 up, I come back to Fallout 4, and you guys return like you never left 5 years ago. Like it's absolutely insane that you guys have come back, and I can't thank you enough for all of this. Like it's a real revitalization of being a content creator, realizing that you still do have a following, even if they don't show up for for 5 years, and it's been absolutely incredible playing through it again, and I want to again, I can't thank you guys enough, but like I love talking about these games as we play through it, and the interaction you guys give me through the chat, the live stream chat while we're playing, it's unreal. Like I'm not a channel the size of Dr. Disrespect, so we can have conversations. I kind of lost my train of thought. A little brief interruption there, no big deal. But I just kind of wanted to bring up how freaking fantastic it's been playing Fallout 4, and you guys coming back and getting back into it, because it really doesn't make you appreciate great games, and it gets me excited to want to play other great games too, like Skyrim, going back and playing Chrono Trigger again, Ocarina, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Playing these games that I treasured as a younger player. Skyrim is another one that, I mean, I've been going back and playing that randomly. Like it's just it playing great games that you get back into after a long period of time makes you want to play other great games again, just to see if you can rekindle that, and like it really proves that these games can stand the test of time. There's others that I could care less about, and I mean, obviously nothing's coming to mind, but I mean, there's games that, Beyond Good and Evil was a good game, but it's not something that's made me want to go back and play it again. You know what I mean? Like, and so there is very much a tier hierarchy when it comes to video games. There are good games, and then there are the great games, and I mean, there's no comparison between them. There's a reason why people love playing them and playing them and playing them and then going back to them years later. There's a reason people still remember them decades later, and it's a true testament to the creators of those games, the games themselves, the players of those games, and it's been great going back and refreshing, and that's why we've decided to continue playing it. Like normally I try not to spend more than 5 or 6 streams on a game. Now there's certain ones like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a brand new game. It's also one of those games that I've been waiting for the better part of half a decade, and so we're gonna play all the way through it. But it's also a game that, like, I think a lot of people may be hesitant to get into because they weren't around for the original Final Fantasy VII, or they're concerned because it's only PS5, or it's only part 2 of a part 3 trilogy. So I kind of want to show you guys the what this game is about, to try and encourage you to play it and stuff. So there are certain ones that take me a little bit longer, but on the old school games that we've played 100 times, I try not to do more than like maybe 4, 5, 6 streams, so we can keep moving on to new stuff. But having gone back and played Fallout 4, and rekindled the love for this game, for playing it, it's made me want to keep playing it, and I strongly feel like we're probably gonna keep playing it for a while. It's gonna be one of those things where we probably do every ending 4 instead of just one of them. And so I hope you guys are excited about that, because I know I'm excited about it. And we're gonna continue to delve into the backlog that I've got backed up from 2023, the greatest game, one of the greatest gaming years in history. But like, when there's a great game to be played, there's a great game to be played, and we're gonna play it. So it's been absolutely fantastic playing it again. And I just wanted to bring that up. And like I said, I know we were going to talk about Rebirth for a while, but this had to be said because it's been absolutely fantastic playing Fallout 4. Absolutely fantastic talking with you guys and chatting with you about the lore, about the gameplay, about which direction to take, which action, which faction to side with, and everything. It's truly been wonderful. Commercial break number 2. Another shout out to again, we ran out of it because I drink it twice a day now when the order that we ordered was only for once a day. But Field of Greens, baby. I can't wait to get my next order back. Stuff tastes great, makes me feel fantastic. And I can't wait to get back to drinking it again. I highly recommend it if you are looking to get your daily dose of fruits and vegetables. I'm not a big vegetables eater. To be honest with you, I don't eat many fruits either. I can stand fruits, but it's just I've never been like a grocery guy, you know. I've always kind of lived life minute by minute, and so I've never, been the preparer type when it comes to food. I'm not a foodie like most people, and so I tend to neglect my daily allotment of fruits and vegetables. And Field of Greens by Brickhouse Nutrition has absolutely been fantastic. So hope they hear this. Hope they recommend this channel. Hope they sponsor the channel. Shameless self promotion for money. What are you gonna do? All right, so now we'll move into our sports segment. We've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. The first part, we'll talk in better detail. The we had talked about the Lions draft last time, but some big news has come out of Lions camp. The Detroit Lions have extended quarterback Jared Goff for another 4 years. He's got a whopping $212 million coming his way with a guaranteed 170 mil. Looking at roughly 53 million a year, making him the second highest paid quarterback in the league. And I'm telling you, I can't be more excited for the guy. I love Jared Goff as a person. I think he fits our scheme probably better than even when Matthew Stafford was here, the schemes we had under Stafford. I think Jared Goff is just a great guy. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, probably the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. He does absolutely great against pressure. He's a fantastic, not just drop back passer, but he is probably the best passer in the league when it comes to play action. And he's outperformed many players like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who get all these all these accolades and all these awards, and every expert has him as the top 3 quarterback. And Jared Goff somewhere usually lands around 15, 16. So he's totally underrated. I'm glad to have him as a Lion for the next 4 years, locking him up, and giving us hope for the future for at least another 4 years. But that's kudos to Brad Holmes, the GM, and the management there. We've now locked up Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and our boy Jared Goff, giving us like a solid nucleus that's mostly young. Jared Goff's been in the league for a few years now, so he's not super young. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's on his second contract. Penei Sewell's on his second contract. And so we've got young talent locked in for a long time, and things are looking exciting for the Detroit Lions. So congratulations to Jared Goff, very well earned, and let's go Lions. Now, our other thing that I wanted to talk about today is what we're going to kind of focus on in the sports segment here, and that's the NBA draft lottery. This is absolutely the worst idea I've ever seen in my entire life as a way to determine who gets first, second, third, fourth, fifth pick. It's absolutely trash, and the NBA needs to get rid of it. It's also one of the reasons why I think the NBA is by far the worst of the major sporting leagues in America. And I mean, it's not even close. Like soccer is better than basketball. Basketball, first of all, they have way too many teams. There is not a chance that there's enough talent in the NBA to hold 30 teams. This this league would be much better at 20 max, and maybe even less than that. There's you have teams that are perennial losers, and it's because of bullshit like the NBA draft lottery, where the worst team in the league 2 years running can somehow have the fifth overall pick when there again is so little talent in the NBA that the drop off between one, two, three, and everybody else outside of some special ones like Luca was a good pick, but he was a dude that nobody had ever heard of coming from out of town. Um, I guess Giannis was the 13th overall pick. But again, here's a big man in a league that doesn't use big men anymore. And while he's been a good player, he's had one championship run in his career. So it's not like he's even been that outstanding. They teamed him up with Damian Lillard, one of the best point guards in the league this year, and they got bounced in the first round. So there's just not enough talent in the NBA to one accommodate 30 teams, but two have teams like the Pistons who have had the worst record in the NBA 2 years running and has gotten the number 5 pick both years. Uh, it just ruins franchises because you have to hope that somehow this fifth overall pick, which again historically is not very good from 4 down. There's maybe a dozen players that were picked later than one of the top 3, top 4 players in the league that actually ended up being worth a shit. Um, and so like it's just absolutely asinine that a team like the Atlanta Hawks won the first overall pick. They had a 3% chance to win the lottery, and they somehow won it. And so now a team that made the play-in, they were actually a playoff team. They made the playoff play-in, is going to have the number 1 overall draft pick. Like that, it's absolutely absurd how teams that are already contending get better. Like the truth is, Victor Wembanyama went number 1 overall last year. The Pistons should have had the number 1 pick because they were the worst team in the NBA. And so then you would have Cade Cunningham and Victor Wembanyama teamed up on the same team. And that's literally the best young duo in the NBA, and it's not even close. And so Detroit fans should be pissed off because they've been getting shat on. Detroit has historically had good teams. The Pistons, the bad boys of the 80s, in 2004, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince. They stopped the unbeatable Los Angeles Lakers, who were going for a four-peat with Shaq and Kobe, and they beat them 4-1. They're most odds in 2004, people were saying that the Lakers are going to sweep the Pistons, and then they turn around and they get gentlemen swept because again, teams matter over players, and there's just not enough talent in the NBA to have these teams that are already shitty have these random draft picks. Like, it's the most absurd idea. If you want people to compete, if you want people to watch your sport, why are you not doing it like everybody else who literally lines up? The worst team gets the first pick. The second to worst team gets the second pick. Give them an opportunity to get better again. And the NBA draft lottery doesn't do that. It's been, I think, 7 years since the worst team in the NBA actually got the number 1 overall pick. I mean, you might as well just decide who gets the number one draft because you like this team or you don't like that team or whatever. Because, I mean, teams like the Pistons, the market, like the Detroit market, should shit all over the NBA and we should stop watching basketball. I mean, I did because it's fucking awful. It's terrible. There's no reason for us to watch Detroit Piston basketball anymore because you won't let us get any players that have a chance to turn our franchise around. You're just giving them to everybody else. And Detroit, by the way, is the third biggest market in the United States. There's New York, there's LA, then there's Detroit. And yet you just piss on Detroit for whatever reason, And I mean, it's awful. I'm not going to get too much into it, and I understand this idea that, well, if you do it backwards from record, then you're going to have teams that tank on purpose. The fuck are you talking about, tank on purpose? For years, you had NBA all-star players sitting out for rest days, and you're worried about bad teams playing badly? I mean, how do you know they're tanking? There's absolutely no way to say, oh, this team is definitely tanking, that team is not. If you're really the worst team in the NBA, what's the fucking difference between tanking and just playing bad? How do you know? You don't. You're just making up bullshit because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and Adam Silver is a goddamn retard. It's such a poorly run organization that I'm surprised anybody watches this bullshit. I mean, I follow the scores on ESPN.com because I talk about it in my other podcast, but I could give a shit if the NBA went away tomorrow. I literally wouldn't sweat one fucking tear. I could care less. And I lived in LA for a decade where basketball and the Lakers is everything. But they've had a historically good franchise. And when they suck, no one cares about Lakers basketball. LeBron James, everybody says he's the best player in the league, and he's been going at it for like 20 years, 21 years, something like that. No one in LA gives a shit about him because he brought him one championship in an asterisk year, and otherwise he's played terrible. They've been terrible. They made it to the Western Conference Final last year by beating up on shitty teams, and then when they came up to a team that was actually competitive, they got their ass kicked. They got swept. They played the same team this year in the first round of the playoffs, and they got beat 4-1. Like, they're just not a good team, and so no one cares about the Lakers. But when Kobe was here, everybody cared about the Lakers. When Magic was here, everybody cared about the Lakers. And you are taking away that opportunity from other teams by doing the NBA draft lottery. If you want to stop teams from tanking, find the organization. If you feel like a team is tanking, move a vote to immediately remove ownership of that team. Do something that actually fucking matters instead of ruining the fans' hope because they keep getting shitty players because everybody outside of the top four is terrible, is a crapshoot, because there's not enough players in the NBA that are worth a shit to turn a franchise around unless you get one of the top 2-3 players. Even those players. Look at Zion Williamson. I mean, yeah, okay, the Pelicans had a decent season, but they haven't won anything since he's been there. Paul Banchero playing for the Indiana Pacers, and they're doing a lot better than people thought they were. But does anybody expect them to win the championship? No, they got to go through Boston. And so the NBA draft lottery idea that you have to stop teams from tanking, and that's why we do this lottery, is total horseshit. It's absolutely fucking bullshit. It's absolutely terrible. And again, just a couple of years ago, you had all-star players sitting out games for rest days. That's tanking. You're going to play these you're not going to play your best players. That's the definition of tanking. And yet you're going to punish other teams for being bad and call it and blame it on tanking. It's the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard of, and it's just one of the many reasons why the NBA, in my opinion, is a fucking joke and is easily the worst sport, the worst professional sport in America by far, by far, by far. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. I grew up actually really loving basketball. I was born in '82, so I'm introduced to basketball by the Magic Lakers, the Larry Bird Celtics, the Bad Boy Pistons, and then we get into the '90s with Michael Jordan Bulls. Like I had no reason to not like basketball. And now it's just fucking garbage, and it's boring to watch because every team it's either a 30-point fucking victory by one team over another, or a 30-point margin of lead just disapparates to 2 or 3 points within the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. And because you can't play the best players in the league for 40 fucking minutes. They're going to get tired. They're going to start getting hurt that way. And the reason that that's a thing is because there's not enough talent in the NBA. You take out a starter and you put in a backup, all of a sudden you go from the best team in the league to the worst. Because the talent differential is by far bigger than in any other sport. Any other sport. And it's awful. It's awful because of it. But the NBA, again, is a capitalist organization that just wants to penny pinch and squeeze money. But if you want to get teams to stop tanking, hit it where the money matters. Go to the organization, go to the ownership and say, hey, if you want to continue making money off this team, make it fucking better. Make it fucking better. Or just flat out say, hey, we don't have enough talent to necessitate 30 teams, so 10 of you guys are gone. 10 teams gone. Awful. The NBA is terrible. The NBA is terrible. Last commercial break is I'll do a little self promotion for myself. I went to Teespring. It's now just spring.com to see if my stuff was still up there. Apparently, when they switched from Teespring to spring.com, a lot of the channels that were selling stuff ended up getting deleted or canceled or whatever. So bear with me. I'm going to create some new merchandise for us all to pick up, and as soon as I do, you guys will be the first to know. Take one more quick drink. All right, to finish up today, we are talking cinema, our cinematheque, our film industry, Hollywoodization, photogenic love of movies and television. In our cinema segment, I want to talk about where I see the industry now, and again, I don't know. I don't always want to be, Debbie Downer, but the truth is, my wife and I, we watched the movie Roadhouse, and it was ass. Like, it just wasn't good. And so, but the truth is, a lot of the stuff that we've watched recently hasn't been good. And growing up with some of the greatest movies of all time, Ghostbusters, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kingpin, Dumb and Dumber, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison. Like, I mean, there's Black Sheep, Tommy Boy. There's been just a colossal backlog of just the greatest cinema of all time. And nowadays, like, my wife and I, we don't even really care to watch stuff because we don't expect anything from it. Roadhouse was, and I loved the original Roadhouse, the one with Patrick Swayze that came out in the late '80s, early '90s, whatever it was. was a phenomenal movie, but it actually had a story to it, and you had this character that was complex and nuanced, and had a story arc and a character arc. Whereas this one, the Roadhouse now has absolutely no story whatsoever. Sure, you have little talking points. Oh, hey, I own this bar. I need a bouncer. Okay, I guess I'll be the bouncer because you're gonna pay me some money, and I don't have any. Oh, and by the way, I used to be this really famous UFC fighter, but I got depressed because I beat the shit out of some guy. I know that's exactly what UFC is supposed to do, but I'm depressed by it now, so I'll take your money because I'm broke. Um, there's just absurd amounts of violence. You've got people like, and I don't mind violent movies. Quentin Tarantino is one of my favorite directors. Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies, and you've got 100 people getting slaughtered in a 2 minute period. And so I have no problem with violence, but in that case, it wasn't absurd violence. You had sure, you had the crazy 88s, and you had this amazing fight scene, but in this movie you've got uh, Ford F-150s crashing through building walls and hitting people, and they just get up and walk around like nothing happened. You've got Conor McGregor gets stabbed in the chest 7 times, and at the end of the movie, just gets up and walks out of the hospital like nothing ever happened. Um, you got people getting run over by boats. Like it's just nonsense nowadays. You know what I mean? Like it's not choreographed well at all. You just have these people that are like, all right, you just fight. One of the reasons why Revenge of the Sith is remembered so well is because of the choreography and the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like it's one of the best sword fights I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, that's a fantasy movie. This is somewhat supposed to be in real life. you know, every other line in the movie is supposed to be some joke, but it's unwitty. It's stupid dick and fart jokes, or it's just people being dumb. You have this one character that when asked a question, he's supposed to be this member of a gang, but when he's asked a question, he just nonchalantly tells you everything you want to know for no reason whatsoever. You're not even. It's not like it's not like you've got this dude in a chokehold. You don't have a gun pointed at this guy. You just ask him a question. He's like, oh, blah 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 blah. Hey, we've got to get somewhat of a story so people know that we're moving on to the next chapter. Like, it was just. I mean, it's just so dumb. And the way they try to make it up is by putting in these ridiculous camera angles and this Matrix style, slow motion fighting and stuff like that. And it really brings me to the point that nowadays movies are way more about style than substance. You as long as you have a movie that is aimed at ADH people. There's a cut every 3 seconds. There's no longer is there the taxi driver 6 minute shot. Children of Men was like the last one that I can really remember when they had that. It was like a 10-minute shot. I guess sometimes Christopher Nolan does longer stuff. Quentin Tarantino does actually. Death Proof is a great example. The whole 12 13-minute opening scene is all one shot. So there are filmmakers out there that do put substance in their movies, but now it's just everything for ADHD like retards that can't spend any more than a 60-second reel worth of attention on what's going on. And like, I don't mean to sound negative to the audience. Like it's not necessarily their fault. We're peppered with 60-second sound bites, 15-second sound bites everywhere you turn. The news, when they're trying to educate you on things, namely like politicians. You get 3 words out of the politician, and then you get a talking head saying, "Oh, see, he said bloodbath. He's gonna fucking kill everybody. He's gonna start a new Holocaust here in America. He said bloodbath." But they don't ever bother showing you, the whole context of what said person was saying. And so now, you have to, and Hollywood, in its infinite wisdom of trying to earn as much money as possible rather than put out anything of quality, follows that same trend. That's why you have all these TikTok and Instagram stars being movie stars now. Like in the 90s, King Bach would never have been an actor ever, period. But because he got famous on Facebook or whatever, doing his 30-second little videos, now he gets to be a famous actor in Hollywood. And it's dumbed down the audience. It's but then again, you get 80 plus million views on the stupidest, mind dumbingest bullshit, because people are so sick of their real life that they just want to escape by any means necessary. They want to turn their brain off, and they want to not think for a second. And so you get 80 million views on Roadhouse, and it's probably going to get a sequel, and it's directed by a director named Doug Liman that doesn't deserve to do anything less or anything more than a music video. Like that dude can't do more than 3 or 4 minutes worth of video at a time. And that's exactly what Roadhouse feels like. It's like, oh, okay, I've got this 3-minute scene, so we're going to do this. And then the next day I've got another 3-minute scene, we're going to do this, and hopefully it goes together. If not, we'll just add some special effects in there and people will get the point. And it's unfortunate because, again, movies used to be so good. And I mean, it reminds me of this famous quote by a really famous Japanese director by the name of Akira Kurosawa, who's done some of the greatest movies in cinema history. Seven Samurai comes to mind. But he was asked a very similar question. He's like, why do you think people don't go see good movies, good cinema? And I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit because I don't speak Japanese, but he said something to the effect of, it's easier to feed idiocracy to the masses than it is to educate an audience. And what he means by that is, again, Hollywood is meant to make money. It's not meant to educate. It's not meant to, to say thought-provoking things, even though there are certain filmmakers, a few, that do try to bring education to media. But it's meant to make money. And it's a lot simpler. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier to just feed mindless garbage to the masses that, again, don't have to think very hard. They just go buy the ticket and eat my popcorn watching a movie. Instead of like putting out a movie where people might have to go, wait, what's going on? Why? I'm supposed to know that guy, but why do I know that guy? Like it takes some sort of like cultural relevance. It takes an actual creative director and producer and writer to make a film that says something and gets people engaged, right? At least enough that they want to actually watch the movie instead of just look at the screen and see whatever is on there, right? And the reason I have a problem with this is because this is exactly what the establishment wants, right? And here we go with the conspiracies again. Establishment, the elites, right? The NWO, the people that actually run the world, they don't want educated populaces. They want zombie-like masses that are just smart enough to push the buttons, to start the machines, write the paperwork that they don't want to fill out, but too stupid to realize how bad they're getting fucked over by this system. And so Hollywood, by dumbing down these films to the lowest common denominator, sure, maybe they're making some money. By the way, most of the films that have come out this year haven't come close to making their money back domestically. A few of them, Godzilla vs Kong, have made it worldwide, luckily. But I mean, Challengers came out, came and went. Nobody went and saw it except for 5 people, and that's going to take a massive loss. I'm trying to think of. I can't even remember what the other big one was that took like $100 million loss. But it like you put out this garbage and you just expect people to buy tickets. But what you're also doing is you're training people to be zombies and stop thinking critically. We want an educated populace that can critically think and understands how to interpret language and culture, media. That way we can make better choices going forward. A more educated society is a happier society. A happier society is a safer society. But again, Hollywood does not want that because they are in control. And so they want to dumb you down as much as they can, just to the point where you just go to work like a zombie. You get up at 8 o'clock every day, you punch in at 9, you punch out at 5, you go home, you go to bed, get up at 8, you punch in at 9, you punch out at 5. That's all they want. They want just mindless zombies. And so they are purposely dumbing you down through the use of media to make you stupid, to make you stupid. And again, I'm not trying to belittle anybody that liked Roadhouse. I have a friend that loved it, and he's a good dude. He's a good friend, and I like him a lot. But we shouldn't be accepting this mind-numbing garbage. We should be demanding more. That way, we can build a better future. The easiest way, Civil War, perfect example. The easiest way to create a civil war in this country is to remind everybody about how different we are and why you should hate that person and that person and that person and why they should hate you. We don't want to educate ourselves, though. We want to keep us mindless zombies that just do what we're told and don't question authority while they take away all your rights and keep all the money that they are stealing from you. And it's terrible. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And again, I meant no offense if you liked this movie. I use Roadhouse because this is the movie that I had recently saw that reminded me of what they're doing. But there's a ton of garbage out there that does this. It's on CBS, ABC, NBC every night starting at 8 o'clock. Like it's by succumbing to this, you're actively feeding into what they want. And I'm hoping that if you're offended by this, instead of being mad at me like they want you to, you question why you are offended by me talking about how a movie has no substance. Like I'm not trying to offend, I'm trying to awaken. And I apologize if you were offended. That was not my intention, but I'm trying to enlighten you so we can awaken as a populace and we can move to a more educated society that then becomes a happier society and a safer society, because we're not going down the right path right now. Matter of fact, we are spiraling to the bottom as fast as motherfucking possible. And it's sad. It's sad. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I off? Should we want to be mindless zombies? Should we want movies to just be nonsensical garbage on screen that'll allow us to escape a real life for 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it is? Is the NBA worth watching? Do you like the fact that they have the lottery? Is Jared Goff not the answer in Detroit? Do you think he's one of the guys that we need to move on from? And what are some of your great games? What are some of your greatest games of all time? What games do you play now that you played back then that you put just as many hours into now as you did back then? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. If there's something you want me to talk about, please let me know, again, in the comments. I like talking about stuff, and I hope you like listening about stuff. If you do me that favor. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell. Drop down in the description box below. Join the Discord, become part of the Sweetness family. Follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. If you are into the more conspiratorial stuff about how the establishment is out to get us, that's what Twitter is for. Instagram is more of just the fun stuff, my personal life, my behind the scenes, a lot of my kid, a lot of my kid being a kid, and a bunch of the other stuff that I do in my spare time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming by. Again, do me that favor, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell. If you're over on Spotify watching this, hit that follow button, and keep on keeping on. Just before I go, this week it looks like we're going to kind of get back into our normal swing of things. So Wednesday we should be back with Helldivers 2 with our friend of the channel, Scavenger. Thursday we'll play Final Fantasy V. We're in the World 2 now, so we're getting really into the thick of things. And then Friday and Saturday we'll be back with some more Fallout 4. We just finished up Far Harbor, so we'll probably take some time to do more of the main quest. Perhaps we will meet either the railroad. Maybe we'll do everything. We'll meet the other two factions on the Commonwealth. Can't guarantee we'll do enough to make it to the Institute, but we'll at least meet the railroad and the Brotherhood of Steel. We'll pick up a few companions, and we'll have a lot of fun playing. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me, wishing YouTube or Spotify, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness. Signing off. Peace.